My sister Sarah and I are sitting here along Philippi Creek outside of Dorothy's condo, a place that she would love to come and have little picnics. She called it the Meadow. And I want to ask you, Sarah, to talk a little bit about when you first met Dorothy and how you eventually became the editor for her books.
Dorothy and I met on a service trip to Nicaragua. We were actually introduced by my son, who was doing service work down there. And as we became friends, one of the first things I learned is that she had lost both of her sons. And it devastated me, because I thought, how do you live after something like that? I don't think I could live after something like that if I lost my children. So Dorothy became something of a role model for me about how do you survive something that devastating. And I began to sort of study the things that she did. And she learned yoga, and she practiced meditation, and she took up traveling with a service component to it. And those were all things that I thought were so courageous, you know, sort of a brave way to keep on living in the face of something that you really can't live through.
When you met her, she wasn't writing at that time, or she wasn't writing for publication, correct?
She may have written for a few little things, but she felt that she didn't need to write, that her life had been interesting, but it was really, she was a very private person. And so as we were talking, I felt like there was an avenue for her to help continue healing, her healing process, by talking about her life and writing about her life. Right. And so I encouraged her, with me as sort of her student, as someone who would love to travel more and do more service work, to teach me about how her life had gone. She was someone, usually when I edit writers, they've written way too much, and I spend a lot of time paring things down. Dorothy was a minimalist, and she wrote very little, and I was continually saying to her, tell me more. Tell me how it smelled, tell me how it sounded, tell me what you felt.
And when she wrote her memoir, I remember you telling me that she didn't initially talk about the boy's death in her memoir.
No,
correct?
She didn't feel like that was an important thing to share with everyone. And so I had to respect that, you know, and yet I said to her, we want to acknowledge them. They can't be left out of this narrative. They're part of your life. And it was wonderful for me to get to hear about them. And I also went to India with her and visited the boys' grave sites up in Kodaikanal, up at the school where they went.